Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going on to lesson 4 now. Now we're going to talk about grids, okay? Grids are kind of fun. They're a little frustrating at times because grids are a little difficult to understand, but we're going to talk about grids today. And to get you an idea, I have some pictures and stuff that I want to show you guys to help you guys kind of understand what grids are and how they work. But they're very, very, very useful to getting things on the page exactly how you want them, okay? So let's jump over here to our styles. Everything is pretty much exactly the same. I didn't really change anything since I last was talking to you guys. But I'm going to throw in a few things now, okay? If we jump over here to our HTML, we have this main thing. What do you call it? Tag. There it is. Main tag, okay? And so this main tag, we're going to have this main be our grid, okay? So let's go ahead and type it in here. We'll do main. And we'll say, first thing you have to say for it is you have to display the grid. So display type grid, okay? After that, you're going to need to create some rows and some columns. To do that, you do grid template columns. Once again, if you're using VSC or Visual Studio Code, that will print it out for you, and it's very nice, so you don't have to type it all out yourself when you're doing a whole bunch of it. So for grid template columns, we're going to do 1FR, 1FR. Now, FR is for frame, if I'm not mistaken. Frame, so it takes up one frame of your page. So for right now, this is split into two. There's two boxes, left and right, going straight up and down. Two columns going straight up and down, not boxes. But if I do it again, but when I do it with a row, grid template row, there we go. And I do 1FR, 1FR. Now, invisibly behind this page, I have 4 boxes that are just sitting back there, okay? Let me show you a picture to help you kind of understand. I don't want to save it quite yet because that's going to make our picture kind of go, or our page kind of go funny, but let's pull this up here real quick so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So with what we've done here, we've given 1FR and 1FR. So for just the columns, if I just did grid template columns, did 1FR, 1FR, that would be just these 2 vertical columns right here. By adding the template rows, I've added these rows. So now we have like 4 boxes, okay? Keep that in mind, we got 4 boxes, okay? So now if I hit save, let's make this bigger just so we can see exactly what just happens when I hit save. Let's do this. Let's hit save. Okay, so what has happened when I hit save? It's moved it into its own boxes. So as you can see, we have those separate boxes. We have box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4. There's nothing in box 4, but it split itself up like that, which is interesting, and a very interesting way to do that. But, excuse me, a little cough. But what if we wanted things to be switched around? What if we wanted the home page on the right side and the picture on the left side? What if we wanted that? We can fix that, okay? We do that with CSS. That's another thing CSS helps us out with. Let's come over here to image, for example. So again, this would refer to every image in the file, but since we only have one image in here, not that big of a deal, we're gonna let it happen. Actually, that's also false because I did add some images down here, and you'll be able to see them right there. So that's a false statement. Let's not just do every image. Let's just only do the main image, just so that we only mess with this one. That's all we want to do here. Now, to get this thing to go to the left side, we're going to have to do something a little funny. It's called grid column, okay? This is referring to which column do you want this picture to be in, okay? Now, since we have, let's get that pulled back up, that picture. As you can see with these numbers refer to which line it is lined up with. So there's line 1, line 2, line 3. By doing 1FR and 1FR, we've created 2 columns and in each line on that column. So, 2 columns, there's 3 lines. Just got to envision it this way. So you could do this grid column a couple of different ways, okay? And what you could do here is you could say, if you say 1, it'll stick it to the line, it'll stick it to this wall. You could do it that way. That works for the situation that we're in right now. If you wanted it, if you had say 4 or 5 frames over here, if you did like 5 of those or something, and you had 5 5 columns and you want it to stretch over multiple columns, how you would do that is you would put your first number and your last number. Now, for example, here's a good example. So if I wanted it to just be 1, I could hit 1, hit save. Let's get rid of this real quick. That is not what I wanted. Move along here. Move along. Here you go. Bring this one back up. I wasn't done with this one yet. Please bring it back. I wasn't done editing this. Give me my webpage. All right, we're good. Let's just stretch this out right here, just so we can see a little bit better. Now it's moved it into 1. As you can see, put it down here, but homepage is already occupying that, so, you know, that text, so it just scooted it down. No big deal, nothing wrong with that. But that's how you do that. Now, if you wanted it to stretch over both, if you wanted it to go from the left to right screen, you wanted it to cover all of it, even though you had this grid, you wanted it to cover all of the grid, you could do 1/3. And that slash denotes that you're just connecting them. So what did I do with that picture just a minute ago? Here it is. Yeah. So if you just wanted it to come from this side to this side, you'd say 1/3 to mean that it's going the whole distance. It's going all the way. All right. So we hit save. It was not going to do too much because the picture is left aligned automatically anyway. So it is stretching the whole way across, but you can't really tell. But that's how you would do that. Now I'm going to teach you guys a couple of really cool keywords that are actually kind of interesting, and they're very confusing if you don't remember them. Maybe I'll put them in a comment so you can see them. But there's 4 words, and I'm going to say them. They're justify content, justify items, align content, and align items. Those 4 things work differently, but it's good to know what they are. So those are the 4. These need to be hyphened. There we go. Now these are words just like color and padding and text align. It works the same way. But just beware of some of these that you may plug them in and they don't work exactly right, and there's a reason why. Okay. Now justify content aligns things horizontally. Now, it will justify stuff only to the extent that the grid is wide. Does that make sense? So justify, anything that has justify before it is all horizontal stuff, and align is vertical because it means it's aligning it to its columns. Now we're gonna do an align item for this picture, and it should force it into the middle. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do align items. And we're gonna say center. Okay. If we hit save. All right. Welcome back, guys. That took me way long time to figure that out. I don't know why I couldn't remember justify self. When using pictures, justify self is how you do that. I was trying the one that I had showed you guys, the justify content and align content and justify items and align items. I was trying to get that to work because, yeah, usually it will, but with the picture, you need to use justify self. I'm sorry, that took me a really long time to figure it out. But yes, now you have a centered picture that is, if you stretch it out here, it'll continue to be in the center. Now, a little bit of a warning about grid, okay? Grid doesn't work, how do I say it, indefinitely. For example, I put a display grid here in the main, which is up here, if you see main, and then I was trying to apply my image inside the main, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. The trouble comes when you try to do parent of a parent of a parent of a parent. Does that make, or I mean, I'm sorry, child of a parent, and then another child, and then another child. For example, if I decided I wanted the entire body from here to here to be a grid, if I wanted the header and the main and the body, I want all this to be a grid, which I wouldn't do. I wouldn't put your header and your footer in a grid. I wouldn't do that. But if I did, I can't reference that grid in the nav or in this A. I can't do that because it only affects the child element. Okay? So if I say body grid, then I can, inside a header or inside a main or inside a footer, if I'm over here in my styles, I can create one of those like a main or a footer, and in here I can adjust it like this. grid column, you know, justify self and all that. But if I try to do that inside something like a nav or an A, that won't work because the grid is declared in a like towards the body statement. It's declared towards that element. And so I can't come in here to like an A and try to take advantage of that grid. It just doesn't work that way. I would have to either create a grid for my nav. Once again, I would never do this, but I'd have to create a grid for the nav and then have the A to move around inside that. Or if I did have multiple grandchildren elements that I wanted to do it with, I'd have to create a grid here, then create another grid here, and another grid here. It's a little complicated, but just know that if you want something to center, or you want to center your image or whatever, you need to have the display grid and the template columns and rows need to go in the parent of whatever item you are trying to do that with. It can't go any further than that, it just has to be in the parent. As we go further, I will show you some examples of when you need to have a grid inside a grid inside a grid, when you will need to have that embedded grid. But for right now, you guys don't need it. Just know that grids, and this is how they work. You just have a grid, you have a template column, you can add as many as you would like, and many frames or like spaces as you would like. That's what FR is for. It creates equal lines in your code. I could put 20 of these if I want. That would be a lot of 1FRs, but there is also a way to get around that. If you needed 20 and you didn't want to type out 1FR 20 times, there is a repeat function, which again, I'll show you guys that later. It's not super important right now. But thank you guys for joining me. If you guys have any questions or if anything was unclear about how all of these grids work or anything like that, or any questions at all about CSS, you can shoot me a question down in the comments below. I try to check those every day. Let me know if you guys need to know anything else or just curious or anything like that. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss next week's video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!